3-hour flight. It had actually been flying for 5.5 years. The crew and passengers were completely unaware. When the captain contacted the control tower to request landing, the control tower staff were shocked. After repeated confirmation, they agreed to let the plane land. However, they were not greeted by their families, but by a large number of police officers. The passengers were confused after disembarking, not knowing what was going on. Kyla said her nephew had leukemia. She hoped to return home as soon as possible. The chief patted her head and said,
"Problem, ladies and gentlemen, is your plane departed Montego Bay, Jamaica on April 7, 2013. Today is November 4th, 2018. Missing, presumed dead for 5.5 years."
Everyone looked at each other in disbelief. They couldn't believe it was true. Subsequently, to clarify the truth, the police detained the aircraft and questioned the crew members. The answers were consistent. Nothing unusual had happened on the aircraft. It had only encountered strong turbulence. The cabin lights went dark. The plane shook violently, but it returned to normal shortly after. The passengers were detained for 36 hours without any results. The police notified the families to take them home. The passengers only experienced 3 hours, but the families waited for 5.5 years. Many people and things had changed. Kyla's mother had passed away. Her niece had grown into a young woman. The siblings had grown apart. Kyla, who worked as a police officer, went to her workplace. There was no longer a place for her there. Her boyfriend Jack had married her best friend. All of this left her feeling overwhelmed. The good news was her nephew, who had leukemia. He had only 6 months to live. After 5 years of technological advancements, there was now a treatment plan. Meanwhile, the investigation team continued to examine the plane. They wanted to uncover the truth. That day, Kayla was sitting on the bus heading home. Suddenly, a voice echoed in her mind.
Slower. Slow down now!
Thanks to Kayla's warning, the child was spared, but Kayla didn't understand what was happening. The next day, while running past a yard, the voice echoed in her mind again. Kayla saw 2 dogs. She did nothing and left immediately. That night, while resting, the voice echoed in her mind once more. It was the same voice, telling her to release them. She went to the yard from earlier that day. At that moment, her brother Ben arrived in his car. Ben and Kayla were on the same flight. He also heard the same voice in his head. The siblings released the dogs. The next day, Officer Jack received a report. The siblings had been filmed releasing the dogs. After scolding Kayla, he took her with him to return the dog. At that moment, another voice echoed in Kyla's mind. She couldn't resist the voice's guidance. She looked around the courtyard. Her gaze fell on a locked door. She grabbed a tool. Ignoring Jack's pleas, she broke open the lock. When he opened the door, he found the 2 missing girls inside. The homeowner, seeing that the matter had been exposed, grabbed an iron bar and swung it at Jack. Fortunately, Jack was agile. He quickly subdued the homeowner and successfully solved the kidnapping case. Jack credited the achievement to Kyla. The leader notified Kyla of her reinstatement. However, not long after, Kyla felt the call again. This time, it wasn't just the siblings. Everyone on the flights felt the guidance. They all gathered at the airport without prior arrangement.